guys. I wanted to come on here quickly and share a dream I had with you all. This is part of uh, God, God's judgment on Babylon. I did a couple of videos ago that spoke about His judgment on Babylon and on the Boule. And if you want to check that out, you can. I think it's a couple videos back. But I want to give you guys a dream that I had a couple months ago, maybe 3 months ago. Uh, God is bringing this picture. He's making the picture more clear, and it's more than I thought it was. Uh, so yeah, let me just get into the dream, and then maybe it'll make sense. Okay. So I had this dream in June of this year, and I dreamt that I saw this guy walking out of the woods, and he was walking out of the woods, and then all of a sudden, I guess I was like at a church maybe, and he was drawing on my Bible program, and he was drawing the outline of a woman and the woods. So he was drawing an outline of a woman in the woods. And for some reason, the woman looked big on the paper, like in in stature, like big, like a statue or something. I'm not sure. Um, and then I switched to me making a sort of like dough, and me in the dream it was fufu, which is like a starchy African food, uh, Nigerian, I guess. I'm not sure if other people in other countries eat it, but I know that day prior I was really thinking about Nigerian food and I didn't get it, so maybe that's why fufu came up. But I was kneading that dough, and I was putting flour on it and continuing to knead it, and then but I was trying to make sure that in the bowl I was keeping it on parchment paper. Like I remember it was like parchment paper, and it kept slipping off, but I was making sure to keep it on there. And then it switched to this man speaking to my manager at a job and telling her, accusing me of worshiping someone called a Astarte. And my manager came and told me, she had like a slip of paper, and she was like, hey, this is going on. I was like, what? No, I did not. No, because it in the dream, I was like, no, I didn't. I knew I didn't. I knew I was being accused of something falsely. And so I told her, yeah, you could go back and look on the cameras. I wasn't doing that. And that was uh, the dream. And so when my dreams are wild like that, and especially when I get names that I don't know, because I don't know Noah Starty, I was like, okay, this is definitely God trying to tell me something. So I started to do research, and over a little bit of time, I was able to see what he was saying. And man, so long story short, this is about the so-called Queen of Heaven. Okay, so in the beginning of the dream, told you guys that I saw a guy walking out of the forest, and then he started drawing on my Bible program the outline of a woman in the outline of the forest. And as I started looking up, you know, Astarte, I really started with that because I had the name. Uh, I was able to see that this Astarte was in the Bible as Ashtoreth, and in Babylon, this goddess, this deity, was known as Ishtar. So I started to put the pieces together. And I, was asking God, please help me. Holy Spirit, I need help because what is this thing? So I want to read to you Jeremiah, and I believe it's Jeremiah 7:18. Yes, let me read to you Jeremiah 7:18. It says, God is basically telling Jeremiah, hey, there's some evil in the land of Israel, and so he's showing him visions of what's going on. He said, the children gather wood, the fathers kindle fire, and the women knead dough to make cakes for the queen of heaven. And they pour out drink offerings to other gods to provoke me to anger. I was like, yo, what? That was the kneading the dough or the fufu, which is not dough, but whatever. That was me kneading the dough, right? And so uh I was like, whoa, okay, okay. All right. So this is a continuation of this utter destruction for Babylon, because God is judging, punishing Babylon, which is a symbol for other God, worshiping other gods, to make it simply put, straying away from God, provoking him to anger. Okay. So the Roman and Greek equivalents, the name, well, the one I saw in the forest, which, I mean, from what I saw, is similar to this Astarte I read was Diana. And I think Diana was Roman. And she was the goddess of the forest. That's why I saw the forest. Um, and of something else. The forest, and I think I wrote it down here. A Roman goddess who was associated with the woods, hunting, and wild animals. Her Greek counterpart is Artemis, goddess of domestic animals and fertility deity, invoked by women to aid fertility. And so this is Astarte from what I'm seeing, right? So I was like, okay, so what does this mean? So then I continued to do more research, and I found out that it's the equivalent or similar to this Ishtar, right? And so this is a Babylonian goddess of sex and fertility. So we know that Babylon was one of the very first big civilizations, and then we move on to like Egypt, and then to Greek and Rome, and these gods just translate over time, because we know the Romans invaded Egypt, and they set up their cities and all that. So their gods just morphed into the Egyptian gods and all of that, with some variations, but pretty much we know what's behind it. It's demons, it's demonic, it's fallen angels and their Nephilim, which is their offspring, right? Genesis 6. So I said, okay, but what are you trying to tell me here, God? And so Ishtar, I started studying that, and then it brought up Easter. I was like, okay, those names sound alike, but just because they sound alike doesn't mean they are alike. So let me do my research. From what I've seen, this is the same. This is the same. Uh, Ishtar was a goddess of sex and fertility, and we know the bunny rabbit is all around the world, has in the ancient world, has been used as a sign of fertility, because they reproduce and mate very quickly, like all the time. That's why they say, like, humping like rabbits and all that stuff. So think about Easter and the Easter eggs and the bunny rabbit. What that got to do with Jesus's resurrection, I don't know. Where's Easter in the Bible? Ishtar, Easter. People will say, no, that's not the same. Or if it's the same, we don't do that. We just celebrate the resurrection. Okay, on the same holiday that the pagans celebrate to this. Okay. So, another piece of this is that God has been speaking about this. This is not anything new. See, Israel was constantly straying away from gods and worshiping the gods of the people of the land that they were brought into, which was Canaan, right? So a part of this was the women, what what they call, or in the Bible was called, weeping for Tammuz. So I'm trying to get that story right about Tammuz and all of that, but I'll read to you Ezekiel 8:14, and you could do your own research. But this is God again telling the prophet Ezekiel, hey, you see what's going on in the land. These people who I called my own, who I called my own children, who I gave them rules to follow, who I said, hey, I'm jealous. Hey, don't follow these other gods or these people. Do you see what they're doing? This is Ezekiel 8:14. And it says, then he, which is, I believe, God, right? This go back and read Ezekiel 8. But God is taking him in the spirit to see what's going on. And he also speaks about what's going on in the secret room of the priests, right? Pagan worship straight up and down. So this is Ezekiel 8:14. Then he brought me to the entrance of the north gate of the house of the Lord, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Then he said to me, have you seen this, O son of man? You will still see greater abominations than these. So what I believe God is saying is, listen, I'm judging Babylon. Babylon, to me, I don't think it's just a city or a place, but it's the culture, it's the spiritual atmosphere of the world, right? Um, of course, with Easter, that's something I would take to the Most High and ask Him to reveal that to you, because I feel like no matter how you try to spin that, it really represents this story of crying for Tammuz and Easter and all this stuff. New life, right? Tammuz was the consort to Ishtar, and somehow Tammuz died, and then she had to go to the underworld and somehow try to revive him. And so, for the Canaanites or the Babylonians, these people in these areas, that was the symbol of winter, right? So their deity going to the underworld, it's cold, it's dark, everything's dead, right? So weeping for him is a symbol that the women would do to basically, it was kind of like their ritual. So it was their way of saying, come back, right, around this time of year, which would happen in the spring when new life was coming. It was a part of their worship, it was a part of their ritual. And this happens to coincide with Easter. Come on, like, come on. So take that to the Most High. That's between y'all two. Yeah. So I want to make this video as short as possible, but really what God is saying is He is judging the world system. He is judging the people that follow these gods. He's telling His church, His children, to wake up. Think about what you celebrate. Think about why you celebrate it. Think about, like, a couple videos I had, the fraternities and sororities you in. It may all seem just like whatever, or like they don't intertwine. Trust me, these are the same gods and deities and spirits behind all of this. And ain't no God but God. And a bigger picture of this, which is what I was saying about the Queen of Heaven, right? This Astarte, this Ishtar, this Isis, this Aphrodite, this Venus, right? This, I believe, is the same spirit. And I know it's in Roman Catholicism because I believe this is the spirit behind the Virgin Mary. Why are you not only worshiping Jesus, but you worshiping it? Don't make sense. This is the spirit that you see in the church, not just the Catholic Church, but the Christian, evangelical, Protestant church. It is very sensual. Remember, these are goddesses of sex and fertility. And so you may not right now see people outright, having sex and all this stuff. But if you go to church and you look at it, it is very sensual. And the way people dress and the quote unquote Holy Spirit people be falling out under and doing all of it just, when you really do the research about these gods and goddesses and how people will worship them, you're starting to see that we're heading in this way. So a couple videos that I suggest you watch is a man called Pastor Stephen Darby. A lot of you may know him. He has a video called Awakening the Feminine God. And then what was the other one? Sensual or Anointed, the Bell Church Revisited. There's so much I want to say, but I don't want to make this video too long because I'm going to continue to speak on this because this is where God has me speaking on this. So as we see all of these things happening in the world, please just don't think it's just global warming or it's just the political system. God is behind the scenes orchestrating some of this stuff. And you need to come on out. That's a verse I wanted to give you guys. Revelation 18. And then I'm going to head out of here. Revelation 18 is talking about the fall of Babylon. This is Revelation. This is at the end, right? And we still talking about Babylon. So Babylon isn't something old that was just in Jeremiah or the Old Testament. This is the system, right? So Babylon 18, and let's start at 2. He, which is this angel, and he called out with a mighty voice, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling place for demons, a haunt for every unclean spirit, a haunt for every unclean bird, a haunt for every unclean, detestable beast. For all nations have drunk the wine of the passion of her sexual immorality," goddess of sex and fertility, "and the kings of the earth have committed immorality with her. The merchants of the earth have grown rich from the power of her luxurious living." This is the key verse. "Then I heard another voice from heaven saying, 'Come out of her, my people, lest you take part in her sins, lest you share in her plagues.'" This is what God is saying. I'm executing judgment. It may look like the whole world is going berserk and the elite and all this. And yeah, but God is behind the scenes orchestrating all of this, right? We're at the end of the book. It's nothing to be afraid of and to walk in fear about. I mean, naturally as a human, yeah, you're like, ooh. But God is walking us through what we need to let go of, how we need to clean ourselves, what we need to do so we can be in His will and protected, and we won't be overcome with fear, and we know what we're looking at, right? So as you see this divine feminine rise up, and you see this wild, like, oh, y'all straight up worshiping Satan, nobody's hiding it anymore. Okay. As you see this over sexualizedness of everything, know where you're going. This is the spirit behind it. Yeah. Yeah. God doesn't want women to be oppressed. And that's the lie that's been told. That's why people are turning away from God and Jesus and all that. And you really got to do your research and have a relationship with God to know that that's not what that's not His intention. That's not His intention. So you're gonna have to reckon that with God. I could tell you all I want, that God is not an oppressor of women, and you can point out several verses in me to say, well, God said women should talk in the church and that. Okay. I had to come to that understanding myself because yeah, I felt that way. I mean, how could you not? But as God has really been drawing me closer to Him, purging so much out of my life, cleaning me up, and really talking to me, and I've been honest with Him, He's really been showing me how special I am to Him and the plan He has for me. And I'm like, well, there's no way He could feel that I'm so low, and this is His plan for me. So that's a very personal thing. But so this feminine, the rise of the divine feminine, all that, be very 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 careful with all that. I'm not saying don't be feminine, because I believe in femininity all day every day. Okay, but be careful with it, because it's a spirit behind a lot of this. um and so I'll keep it short right now. I'm going to continue on this. Of course, if you have any questions, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Shoot me an email. You can find that on the About tab on my channel. But I really wanted to let you guys know that, hey, God sees everything that's happening. He's not just sitting back, uh, sipping on some tea and not concerned. No, this is all a part of His plan. So I pray that you guys are well. I pray that this made sense, and I'll be back again.